Hey, hi. Welcome, Kathy Frey here from Motherwise. And I'm just going live today with a little bit of an overview about the daddy to-do list, or really your birth support person list. So we just got a little mini webinar today talking about that birth support person, often the daddy to be, and things that they need to remember to do. Now, just a reminder, I'm going to be doing I do a much longer deep dive into this topic as part of my Inner Circle Motherwise Master Classes, and that's when women have purchased the Essential Basics support group package of mine, and that gives them access to all of my deep dive webinars and all of my deep dive podcasts and 24/7 access to my my massive Q&A library online. And I'll add a link to the bottom of this webinar about how to find out about joining me with that. But this is, as I say, just a little wee overview. And there is a bit of a birth support person or daddy to be kind of list. Obviously, not every birth support person these days is a dad to be. Sometimes they're another mum to be, and sometimes they're an auntie or a mum or a sister. But whoever that birth support person is. So I'm just going to go over a few little hints and tips there. So number one is they need to have a phone or a cell phone that they know where their second timer is, so you can measure the length of contractions. And measuring the length of contractions and their frequency goes from the beginning of a contraction to the beginning of the next contraction. So it will be something like at the beginning of latent labor, the mother-to-be or maybe doing something like a 20-second contraction every 5 minutes, and then it might become a 30-second contraction every 4 minutes, and then a 45-second contraction, and then when she really starts doing about a minute long or more contractions every 3 minutes or so. So that's like a minute of contraction, 2-minute break, minute contraction, 2-minute break. That's when women are really regarded as just starting there to establish into active labour. And the birth support person wants to have the phone numbers of who they need to call when they believe that the lady that they're looking after is established into successful labour. So we're talking about, that might be an independent self-employed midwife that is the carer, or it might be the local birthing suite. But knowing what those numbers are, they should have that already in their phone ready to go. It is a very good idea to know the best route to the hospital or birthing centre, both in and out of rush hour traffic. These days with GPS, it's so easy just to put that in and it'll give you the best route anyway. But not everybody is still familiar with using GPS. So knowing traditionally the best route there. And that person needs to make sure that their vehicle is never on E, right? They must never be in a situation that they have to stop and get petrol on the way to the hospital or birth centre. So from I would say 35, 36 weeks onwards, that birth support person should be making sure that they're never on E. Okay, or their car isn't. And now within my book, Oh Baby, there is a whole chapter on labour and birth, and I really strongly recommend that birth support person has read that entire chapter at least twice, okay, so that they really understand the phases of labour and the stages of childbirth. It's really important for that to be familiar with for them. It would be a good thing to just have a heads up of a reminder of the intensity that the advanced, active or transitional part of labour when a woman is sort of around that 8 to 9 centimeters before she becomes fully dilated and ready to start to push her baby out. That is a really intense stage, and it's when women can, sometimes men in particular can kind of look and go, well, who are you and what have you done with my wife, sort of thing, because she's making noises that he's never heard before. It's so primal at that stage. And she can be saying things like, I can't do this anymore, I don't know what to do, and it's very intense, and a lot of it is just release. It's just release, letting the valve off. So he needs to have his thickest skin on, so that he realizes that this is going to be a very intense part of natural labor, and to be ready for it, and not to be emotionally shocked by it, to be say, okay, this will occur. It may not every woman feels all of those emotions, but most, especially first timers, do. So it's a very normal part of natural labor. After the birth, it would be good if that birth support person acts as the bouncer for visitors. So one of my favorite things is for them to basically schedule the visitors, and say something like, okay, we're coming home on Saturday, visiting will be from 1 till 3 on Sunday afternoon, everybody can please come at the same time. That would just be great, because one of the most tiring things can be visitors that just keep drip feeding into a woman's life after they have a baby. They just have a break and somebody else leaves and then somebody comes, and then it's so exhausting, and you feel like you have to offer a cup of coffee to everybody, and you sort of need to be the hostess with the mostess, and it can be very hard for women to say to close relatives and close friends, look, I am knackered and I don't even want to see you. It's tricky for them to say, but that birth support person can come in and take that bouncer role and say something like, look, she's really knackered at the moment, so what I'd like to do is I just want everybody to come at the same time, because I know you're all dying to see the baby and she's dying to see you, but we just want I wanted to be able to rest as much as possible. Yeah. So it's a lot easier for you to say it than for her. And another last couple of things to warn that birth support person, particularly if it's the partner, is to just realize that you and your needs and your attention from her is going to really be on the back burner for the first 5 or 6 weeks at least. Mother Nature makes her completely focused on that baby, and she should be. And because I've certainly witnessed men that get their noses clearly out of joint, that they're not the focused main center of her attention anymore. And don't be jealous of a little tiny baby who's helpless and has to have all its needs met for it. And yeah, so just be ready for that. That's going to happen. Her attention will return back to you, but it's just not going to be there initially, and it shouldn't be. And that final reminder is just to know that you need to be taking over all of those other chores. So that's the shopping, the cooking, the cleaning, the dishwashing, the household chores, the clothes washing, all of it. All that mother should be doing in that first 4 to 6 weeks is just sleeping when her baby sleeps, feeding when her baby feeds, and just getting into that baby's schedule, ideally. She needs to sleep and feed. Rest, sleep, feed, rest, sleep, feed. That's it. 24/7 for the first 5 or 6 weeks. And then after that, she will herself begin to find her own new normal, and her energy will return, it's particularly as the length of the feeds shorten, as the baby becomes more efficient with its feeding. But right at the beginning, that's all she should be doing. And it's your role to do everything else. So look, that's everything for today, and join me next week where we're going to be talking about another fascinating little topic. And remember to get those deep dives when I really go into way more relevant detail. Do join us at Essential Basics, so you can get a hold of my Motherwise Masterclass podcasts and webinars. Bye everybody, have an awesome week. See you later.